We now return to the game that never ends. Let's look at some stuff, I guess. Basic emergency response supplies, the low-end variety, used in impoverished areas. A Tradio monitor displays a live feed from the network's newsroom. It's a standard split-screen talking heads back and forth between a perky newscaster and a stately woman of indeterminate old age. The animated label under the older woman reads Executive Council Member Josephine Song. And if you are just joining us, we are talking live with Council Member Tsang from her office in Prosperity Tower. Council Member, again, thank you for being here to help us make sense out of the conflicting reports we're getting out of Kowloon Walled City. The elder woman nods with queenly composure. Thank you, Sonny. I only wish we were speaking in happier times. Of course, madam. This is indeed a stressful day for the citizens of the Walled City. But who knows? The newscaster brightens, flashing the best smile money can buy. For one of them, it might be their lucky day. Stay tuned, because we're going to cut away shortly to this week's Gigaball drawing, where some lucky winner could walk away with almost 1 trillion new yen. The newscaster returns her focus to her guest, a look of practiced concern back on her face. Now, madam, we're saying this sort of situation is inevitable when masses of underprivileged children were raised in a world without hope. Exactly, Sonny. Josephine Song leans forward towards the camera. Without hope, these children are left to create their own opportunities the only way they know how, by turning to crime. They're often brought up in single-family households without strong guidance to put them on the right path. They're surrounded by thugs and criminals eager to put them to work in all manner of unsavory activities. And it's events such as this one that call our attention to the plight of these poor, poor children. That is why, today, I call on my Executive Council colleagues to join with me in supporting a new project, Operation Hope, which seeks to pull these children out of poverty and place them in loving, stable homes while their parents are rehabilitated, re-educated, and reinvigorated with a new sense of purpose. That sounds like a tremendous... It is, Sonny, and it will cost billions of new yen to support such a mammoth effort. But Song Mechanical Services is ready to lead the way through our new charitable foundation, Song for Hope. It's time for us to give back to the community, and... The newscaster puts her finger to her ear. Madam Council Member, I'm afraid I need to cut you off there. As always, you are doing amazing work for the people of Hong Kong, but... Her dazzling smile returns. It's time for Gigaball! The older woman smiles contentedly. Of course. Again, thank you so much for joining us and offering your perspective. The newscaster checks the notes in front of her. We have been speaking with Josephine Song, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and front-runner to be the next chair of the Executive Committee... Here we go. Walking by... the popo like nothing happened. I don't need to bother with you bastards. Let's just get out of here. Click on the commotion from the streets of Haoi bleeds into Kindly Cheng's mahjong parlor. Triad soldiers bustle to keep up with their boss's orders. Couriers come in regularly, whispering to her lieutenant before listening intently and running off again. Okay. Kindly Cheng is over here now. Anyone else here? No. As you enter, Kindly Cheng is giving instructions to Strangler Bao, who nods enthusiastically. She looks over at you and holds up a hand. Wait. And send Wong and Ho to snatch some of those medical supplies off the relief trucks. With all the excitement, nobody's watching them at all. She nods to herself, grimacing in satisfaction. There'll be a big black market for them over the next few weeks. Good thinking, Mrs. Cheng. Bao lifts a finger to his ear to transmit the orders. When he sees you waiting, his eyes narrow to sharp slits of malice, but he continues his work. Monk, I figured you were dead. Last I heard, my soldiers had found you and everyone was heading into the walled city. Then things got out of control. She takes a pull on her thin black cigar. Where are my people? What the hell happened? Not sure. Kindly Cheng stares at you, unblinking. I sent you 5 soldiers and they're all dead. Her eyes are hard little black buttons. Is that how you treat my resources? Looks like business is up these days. You'll make up the loss. She takes another drag off her cigar, exhales the smoke through her nose. Callous. I like that. She taps her ash on the floor. Well, they knew the risks. They had a shot at moving up and they missed. Forget them. I've got bigger problems, like customers and tenants streaming out of the walled city, screaming for their lives. Like the HKPF and those Song security shitheels swarming the place. She drops the stub of her cigar in an ashtray. Now tell me what happened in the walled city, or do I have to get an acetylene torch and ask nicely? It was a family matter. It's taken care of. Family matter, huh? That's it? That's all I get? She begins stacking mahjong tiles. I'm down 5 soldiers. Vice numbers are gonna drop. Loans won't get repaid. I've taken losses, Monk. And I have a dead father. Let's call it even. Cheng's mouth closes with a snap. She frowns. Okay, Monk, we'll call it even. What killed him? A Yama King. John Ya, the queen with 1,000 teeth. Ever heard of her? Never heard of her. She picks up her bottle of foul spirits and studies the label. Her rusty, mean voice drops low. But I know the Yama Kings. My grandmother used to try to scare me with stories about them. I guess she thought she was teaching me something by scaring the shit out of me. She chuckles softly. I remember one Yama specifically, Fu Mang, the serpent of the setting sun. Oh yes, Fu Mang promised wealth and influence for those willing to do what was necessary to take it. Her voice turns wistful. The story of Fu Mang spoke to me. All he asked for in return were 44 hearts pulled from the chests of those closest to you while they were still alive. Hearts from random victims wouldn't do, so those who took Fu Mang's bargain would befriend others before taking their hearts, turning their entire network into a list of victims. Yes, Fu Mang spoke to me, but I didn't listen. Strangler Bao leans in, his finger to his ear. My apologies, Mrs. Cheng, but one of the men you sent with the runners into the walled city is still alive. He stumbled into Wong and Ho as they were pulling medical supplies off a lorry. Cheng turns to you with an edge in her voice. At least one came back alive? Strangler Bao lowers his head, listens to his earpiece again. Our man says that Wong Lun Fat is dead. He got shot up by the HKPF inside the walled city. Bao lifts his head and makes eye contact with the Triad boss. He's almost salivating with avarice. Our man saw it with his own eyes, Mrs. Cheng. Is that good news? It is delicious, my darling. Wong Lun Fat was my superior in the Yellow Lotus, a 438. Kindly Cheng's black button eyes sparkle with satisfaction born of malice. He was also a pig. Tell our friend Monk what that means, Mr. Bao. A wolfish smile spreads across her face, and her eyes squeeze into crescent moons of pleasure. And say it slow so I can savor it. The death of Wong Lun Fat has opened a spot for you to move up, madam. You could be the next 438. Bao smiles. The effect is chilling. The gods help those who seize opportunities. Mr. Bao, put every man we have on this. Spread the word. Kindly Cheng says all debts to the Yellow Lotus are suspended for citizens of the walled city until order is restored, and no interest will compound either. Tell them I have medical supplies too, and there will be no charge for them until the crisis is over. You are a pillar of the community. Don't be snide, Monk. You don't want to blow my good mood. She raises her voice so the triads in the room can hear her. The citizens of the walled city need clarity and reassurance. The Yellow Lotus will provide that for them. I may not have brought Josephine Song down, but I've got my career going again. She grabs her bottle and unscrews the cap with her thumb. Your career too, Mr. Bao. You'll be my new straw sandal. Good partners support one another. Bao lowers his head in respect. You have proven that, Mrs. Cheng. This calls for a drink. The soon-to-be 438 pours 2 shots, and the stink of kerosene stabs your nose like a switchblade. She hands a glass to Bao, touches it with her own, and holds it there. Your loyalty and clear-headedness have proven immensely valuable, Mr. Bao. You are an effective ally, and I wish you great wealth and good fortune. They down the foul substance in one gulp. Looks like you two are moving up in the world. Yes, and it appears your fortune is changing too, Monk. She pours herself another drink and leaves it sitting on the table. Remember, you have a mysterious benefactor, one who lifted the APB on you. Well, at least somebody likes me. It must be somebody powerful. I can't imagine it was Josephine Tsang. After all, what would her motivation be? It's got to be someone else. Ah, I know who that is. Yeah, well, it's not like I've made a lot of friends since we hit town, but I think I know who it is. One of Josephine's enemies on the Executive Council? No. Yes. No. I'll tap my network, find out if I can. Kindly pulls out another thin black cigar. But that's for later. I'm missing an entire piece of your story, my darling. What happened at Prosperity Tower? Did you rescue Raymond Black? Did his mother wipe his memory? We got him. Stopped his mother from wiping his memory. Impressive. You've become quite a Shadowrunner, Monk. She lights the cigar, a gleam of hunger in her shiny black eyes. While you were in Prosperity Tower, did you find any incriminating data on Josephine Song? Dirt? Something I can use? We found financial statements that'll get her in deep with the Executive Council. Enjoy. Kindly barks a laugh and the cigar dances in her mouth as she speaks. Now I can take that dried-up old bitch to the mat. The Triad boss pulls out a cred stick and tosses it to you. The number on the data readout is big, more than twice the payout of a single Shadowrun. And remember, this is your victory, too. With this, Josephine Song's days on the Executive Council are numbered. Bow, it appears my fortunes have truly changed. She pours 2 more shots from her reeking bottle. Our partnership has become quite enriching, Monk. She raises her glass. To my new #1 Shadowrunner, may our partnership continue to bear fruit. A partnership, huh? We'll talk more about that in the morning, my darling. She reaches over and downs your drink, too. It's been a busy day. Now, before I get back to business, I must know, how did you go from rescuing Raymond Black to the walled city vomiting people? Ray made a magical fortune machine, but it suffered from a demon. Do we really want to mention that part? She might go in after it. Ray built a machine in the walled city. It accidentally summoned the big bad thing. That's when everyone ran. Triad boss cocks her head, raises her cigar to her lips. If the demon summoning was accidental, what was his machine supposed to do in the first place? I don't know. Kindly's eyes narrow, but then her mouth curls into a smile. She moves on with a shrug. Well, this business has certainly proved lucrative for me. Kindly Cheng studies the glowing tip of her black cigar. I'm in prime position to be the next Yellow Lotus 438, and I only lost 4 men. We can't all be so lucky. Raymond wasn't. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. She lowers her eyes, her voice softening. It doesn't sound like your foster father was in a position to be lucky. But judging by the way you've run the Shadows, I'd say your luck is about to change. You've made quite a splash since arriving in Hong Kong, Monk. Many shadow runs completed in a very short time. The reports from our clients are glowing, mostly. You can add closing the door on a demon goddess to the list. We made a difference. Perhaps for some, for a while. The Triad boss leans in, her voice conspiratorial. Listen to me, my sweet. When I was a girl, there had never been a pandemic like Vitas, but in 2010, it happened. We'd never seen death like that. A quarter of the world's population disappeared. It was miserable. It pushed us to our limits, but the survivors moved on. And then the spike babies started appearing, and the dwarf babies, and then suddenly there were dragons and goblinization and magic, and every time the world changed, we got used to it. So if a demon goddess decided that the walled city was her new living room, and you didn't, whatever you did, what would have happened? She shrugs, sniffs. Perhaps the news would cover it until the next sensation pulled their attention away, but after a while it would be drowned out by all the other crap competing for our attention. And the demon in the walled city would become the new normal. Well, the new normal is that the walled city isn't under magical influence anymore. Congratulations. The poor can return to their misery with no interference from magical machines or big bad things because of you. Now, let me give you a piece of advice for the future, my sweet, something Mr. Cheng used to tell me. Respect ghosts and gods, but keep away from them. It sounds like you almost lost your ass in the walled city. We were doing all right. I think you'd best listen to that. I'll keep it in mind. You do that. She stubs out her cigar, screws the top back on her bottle. Now get some sleep, Monk. You look like shit. Tomorrow we'll talk about the future. Last time you told me to go to bed. I woke up a Shadowrunner. What happens when I wake up tomorrow? We get to work, my darling. You heard Mr. Bao. She dips her finger into her empty glass, finds the last drop of liquor, and brings it to her mouth. The gods help those who seize opportunities. Kindly Cheng turns away, dismissing you with a wave. Bao, what's the status on those medical supplies? Out we go. I know we haven't really talked to anyone here. I was actually going to go poke around in here and just talk to some of the earlier characters. That bothers me really badly. Crafty's shoe. A quick glance around the shop reveals an unusual level of untidiness. Okay, we have talked to her. Didn't we? What? But we totally did talk to her. I remember that part. I wonder... Did I have a save that I didn't save at some point? When did that... I could have sworn I'd talked to her. The scene on Bolt Hole is quiet, save for the sounds of eating. The crew is crowded around Gobbet's electric hot plate. Her cast iron pot simmers on top, and they hold bowls of soup in their hands. You recognize the smell: chicken-style soya broth, elbow macaroni, tinned ham, and a heaping scoop of egg-flavored mycoprotein. The mood is somber. I thought I said no team meetings without me. We made an executive decision. We were hungry. Figured we'd hang out for a while. She looks over her bowl at Duncan. Besides, no one could sleep anyway. She means me. I'm too fucked up to sleep, trying not to think about Raymond. Wu takes an enormous gulp of soup, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand. They're just keeping me company, feeding me and pretending not to be tired. Talking a bit. What are you talking about? Isabel fishes a chunk of something out of her soup with her fingers, flicks it to the floor. We've been debriefing a bit. Yeah, talking about all that's gone on, everything we've been through together. She shuffles her feet a bit. Sorry about Raymond, Seattle. You too, Duncan. He was trying to do good with that machine. You two need to remember that. Wu drops his head. His words come out slowly, as if they're being forcibly extracted. I can't believe he did that. Gave himself to that demon. I think he did what he came to do. I guess we did too, Bruce. We came to help Raymond, and he got what he wanted. Isabel stares over her bowl at the wall of the trawler. Her voice is soft. Hard to believe we defeated a god. Demon god. Gobbet stirs her soup with her finger. From another plane of existence. Hard to believe that Josephine Song is going to remain untarnished by this whole thing. The little Decker's face hardens. 20 years of misery. 20 years of suffering. For tens of thousands. Hundreds, maybe. That's the way it is. The way the world works. The powerful play their games and the little people pay the price. She'll see justice someday. She has to. Wu stares into his soup, squinting in concentration. But one thing doesn't add up for me. Why was Josephine Song so intent on shutting us down? Why wouldn't she be? You saw what she was responsible for. No, think about it. The HKPF snipers, the plastic-faced man, all the resources she poured into capturing Raymond and hunting us down. I mean, she's already covered her tracks with that illegal drug lab explosion, right? So why not just let Ray do his thing, then cover it up afterward? It doesn't add up. It had to be the Fortune engine itself. Yeah, I think you're right. From everything Raymond said, the chi was supposed to be pooling, turning toxic. But I felt something in that room, a flow of positive chi I didn't expect. Gobbet wrinkles her nose. She stares at the floor of the trawler for several seconds, apparently lost in thought. I think that it was leaving the walled city. I bet that machine did something else, something Raymond didn't know about. The little Decker stirs her soup, pondering. What if it was a siphon? What if Josephine Song was stealing the cast-off positive chi from the walled city, leeching it for her own benefit? Wu nods at Isabel, runs with her train of thought. She sealed up the Fortune engine, leached the good chi for herself, and took Song Mechanical Services from the minor company Ray's father built to the ballbuster it is today. His jaw tightens. That's how she got herself on the Executive Council of Hong Kong. Of course, this is all speculation. Can't prove any of it, but if Josephine was using positive chi that the Fortune engine was casting off, she isn't getting it anymore. Your foster father saw to that. Gobbet taps her spoon against the rim of her bowl. I wonder what'll happen to her. Guess we'll have to wait and see. Gobbet finishes her soup, lets out a little belch, and pats her stomach. She tosses the bowl in the corner for madness and folly. So, Seattle, what now? Now, bed. Good plan for everybody, but especially you, Bruce. Wu winks at you. You look like shit. Why does everyone tell me that? Catch up with everybody. Closure! Yeah, alright, fine. Oh, wait. Let's see what we can actually get here, just in case there's something. Inbox. Not today! From Bao. One day, the Yellow Lotus in Haoi will be run by another straw sandal. One day, my actions will no longer be restrained by a superior who cannot see what a vile piece of work you are. And on that day, I will find you and kill you. I wish I were there to deliver this message in person, but Mrs. Cheng requires my presence elsewhere. Mr. Bao. We just fought off an interdimensional demon. I don't think you pose a threat. You're like the Season 1 boss, And now we're totally beyond that. My power level is way over 9,000. Access the BB. Why can we post pay data? That makes absolutely no sense. It's not like we're going to use it, right? Down the stairs. Ractor eyes you impassively. He wears an easy smile, but his eyes are as cold and unfeeling as Cochet's sensors. Well, my friend, quite an evening. He takes a drag on his cigarette. Quite an evening indeed. That said, I'm quite tired. After a brief rest, I should get back to my work. Cochet is bound to be in need of repairs after all. He turns his back on you. Do me a favor and see yourself out, won't you? That's it? That's all you have to say? What more is there to say? We have done good work together, yes, but we aren't working now. And when I stand in this shop, my time is my own. The industrial arms that hang from the ceiling spring to life, filling the air with the sound of whirring machinery. Again, I bid you good night. My work for the evening has only just begun. Okay, fine. You enter Wu's cabin to the sound of his neck cracking at a horrifying volume. You catch his eye and he nods, then begins his standard stretching regimen. I wish there was a stuffer shack in this damn country. I need some nerps or bromo fizz or something. He rubs his stomach and lets out a burp. That gobbet stew was heinous. Yeah, I stay away from that. Did she offer you an oyster? Nah, we're not that tight. I mean, I don't visit her bunk all the time like you do. It was twice. I was there twice, and the door was open. Isabel was in the other room. He pulls his right elbow back behind his head, stretching his triceps. They're a good crew, aren't they? Yeah, they really got the job done. Defeating a demon queen? Yeah, I'd say so. Wu switches elbows, exhales slowly as he pulls. Long goddamn day. Feels good to stretch. Yeah, I bet. You doing okay? Wu shrugs, turns his back, and begins stretching his legs. Yeah, sure. I took a few hits, but I'll be okay. Come on, Wu. Raymond's dead. We have to acknowledge it. Wu spins his torso around, glares at you, red-eyed. He's not dead, Bruce. Didn't you hear her? She's going to feast on him, torture him. He's worse than dead. Way, way worse. He left us, and now he's going to be tortured for 1,000 years or some shit. Raymond paid for his mistakes, no question about it. No question about it. High fucking price. Wu grabs an ammo box with one hand and begins curling it like a dumbbell. What about you? What do you think about Raymond, his mom, the fortune engine, this whole messed up business? I would say we got roped into some truly fucked up, foggy bullshit. Ain't that the truth? Wu drops the ammo box on the floor with a crash. Time for bed, Mr. Chan. I think we deserve a good night's sleep. Get out of here. I'll see you in the morning. No, up the stairs, up the stairs, up the stairs. Jesus. Volume, stop with the volume! I blame Isabel. Quit playing with the volume. Isabel looks up at you, a troubled expression on her face. If she's found any peace from your victory in the walled city, she isn't showing it. We did it, I guess. I got to take a scenic tour through hell to a childhood home that I'd done my best to forget. Then we fought off a monster I've spent my entire life pretending not to believe in. She squeezes her eyes shut. Somehow it's hard to get excited about that. We won, that's a good thing, but in the end it's just a drop in the bucket. Monumental evils like the ones that Josephine Song perpetrated go unpunished. The most that people like us can do is clean up the mess, knowing that there will be another bigger mess waiting for us tomorrow. But we did clean up the mess. That's important, Isabel. It wasn't enough. We could have done more. We should have done more. She waves you off. Just leave me alone, Monk. I'm not in the mood to celebrate. All that I want to do is sleep. On the floor? All right, Gobbet. Hey, you cleaned up. As you enter Gobbet's cabin, you find her sipping from an enormous mug. Something dark and steamy sloshes as she lowers the vessel. Her rats squeak happily from their perches on her shoulders. That was a hell of a thing, wasn't it? We fought a Yama King and we won. I'd say that it's time for a celebration. Got anything to drink around here? Sure do, but if you think I'm breaking it out tonight, you're crazy. I'm exhausted, Seattle. I don't think I can keep my eyes open for much longer. If we're going to celebrate our victory in style, I don't want to pass out at the 10-minute mark. You must be tired too. To be frank, I don't even know how you're still standing. Sheer force of will. She smirks at you. Yeah, I'll bet. Go exert your will in your cabin, then. We mere mortals need to sleep. I'll see you tomorrow, though, right? I mean, you're not going anywhere. It's phrased as a statement, firm and final. Yeah, Gobbit. I'll see you then. Yeah, right. Good. I'll see you then. Then. She hesitates for a moment. Then the corner of her mouth tilts up in that old, familiar smirk. Oh, and Seattle? Yeah? Sweet dreams. Aww. So I guess if we'd visited her a little bit more often, we may have actually developed that into something. But, to the bunk. I mean, she's what, like 19? How old are we? Look at that face. Your bunk on the trawler lies waiting, patient and seductive. It beckons with the promise of escape. Do we have unfinished business? No? You bastard. I think we're done. You drop your head onto the pillow and haul the rough naval blanket over you. The bolt hole rocks like a cradle, and, moments later, you are wrapped in the comforting arms of sleep. There are no nightmares. Only shadows. The story of the walled city riots circulates local news networks for nearly a week. Few outside of Hong Kong hear about the incident, and of those that do, even fewer care. By the end of the month, the city is back to business as usual. In Haoi, the flow of refugees eventually slows to a trickle. Those who do escape tell stories of a terrifying demon goddess, and of an old man who sacrificed his soul to banish her. Their mad ramblings are generally met with pity or contempt. After the incident in the walled city, the unbroken lucky streak that propelled Song Mechanical Services into the limelight comes to an abrupt end. Evidence of Josephine Song's culpability in the walled city riots, as delivered by a reliable source, is aired on the Horizon News Network, and the corporation's stock prices go into a freefall. Within a year, Wuxing Inc. buys out, absorbs, and dismantles the company, and Josephine Song is quietly filed away in a corporate prison. She remains there, buried behind walls of concrete and rebar, until she hangs herself 3 months later. Haoi remains a safe port of call for smugglers, gangsters, and shadowrunners alike. You are no exception. The shadows here welcome you in a way that Seattle never did. You've earned the respect of your fixer, your clients, and your community. And now that the APB on you and your team has been lifted, by parties unknown, you are free to operate openly in Hong Kong. This place is yours now. Your home. So that was Shadowrun Hong Kong. Clearly a few issues with some of the levels, but otherwise about what you'd expect. A little too much reading for my liking, especially since we had to leave out a bunch of it. I kind of felt it was meant as filler for a somewhat empty game. I mean, the entire middle of the game was just unrelated shadowrunning missions that only vaguely touched on the whole reason we were even in Hong Kong. I also got the impression that the missions were really just more of a way to show how the Sixth World is different in an East Asian setting, which is fine for expanding the Shadowrun universe, but I think Dragonfall probably had a stronger story. The Matrix changes made it a bit more challenging, and playing with an unarmed melee character was certainly different. I think I'll stick to guns in any future expansion, though. I imagine the developers will try and squeeze a few more settings out of the engine, given how successful the game is. But anyway, that's all I have to say about it, so thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next Let's Play.